This is why breath health is just as important as breath work. Now, a lot of people might gravitate towards breath work more than the simple breath health, which I totally understand. It's not as attractive, it's not as spicy as breath work is, where you go into a room and you achieve an incredible state of being, you have visions, and your whole life is transformed after sitting and huffing and puffing for 2 hours in a room full of strangers, and you all feel like you're one at the end of it all. That's very nice. But breath health is just as important. I'm going to get into this why in this video. Welcome. This is your inner power. So when it comes to breath work, I think a lot of us go into breath work because we want to have a spiritual experience, something revolutionary, something transformative, and that's all well and good. I love that. In fact, I think it's a very important element of getting in touch with what our potential is, what our reality is, because it's not just all this mundanity, you could say. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. Life is more than just our name, our image, our job, our possessions, our relationships. It's a lot more than that. And we sort of lose touch with that, which is why we're seeing so much of a spiritual revolution in the last decade. People are really coming to terms with what we are, and so we go to these breathwork classes. But if that revolutionary transformative state stays on the mat and in the room, we're missing out on something very important. And that is the fact that by escaping into that room, we are in a way escaping from the state of our life. What breath does is it changes so many aspects of you. And when you think about that, just really sink into that. It's incredible, and we don't have to run from our regular life to feel more alive and more awake. Because that's often when I do a really serious breathwork practice. It doesn't even have to be for 2 hours. When it's a short one, but it's effective and it hits, it makes me feel alive, awake, and aware, and more focused and clear-headed, and have more energy and all of that stuff. But the quality of life I'm living now that I've focused more on breathing properly and having my mind cleared by a proper breath practice is just as important, I find. Because it makes me feel that same way. It makes me feel awake and aware and alive just by breathing properly. And it's shocking. It's shocking how simple it is. When you think about the fact that we are operating with a tool that has the potential to transform our state of being, given just a little bit of action and attention, it's mind-boggling. You got to think about, you are changing your state of being by affecting the way that you breathe, which is a physical process that then affects the energetic process of who you are. You feel lighter, and you embody the state of somebody who is calm and collected and confident. At least that's what I've experienced, just by affecting my breath. See, a lot of us have, most of us have jobs and lives that are fairly routine. And we have so many responsibilities put upon us, and goals that we try to achieve and accomplish, and a state of being that we would love to have and experience. But yet, this repetitive nature of the things we have to do and the tasks and the goals that we have, they're day in and day out cause a lot of us to just live for the weekend or live for that breath class, while our goals just get put onto the shelf until a time when we're more tired or less tired, or we're more energetic or more with it. I get that. But a lot of us are so tense, and our heads are full of things, ways that we should live, ways that we could be happier, things that we have to do. I mean, our lives are so packed. And so with breath, with proper breath, we can, I'll say me, because I know I've lengthened these moments. My days are much richer with experience. I feel much more awake because I'm literally getting more life force. See, when we breathe at a proper rate, not only are we embodying the state of a confident creature that's a victor, we are embodying the state of somebody who is not in danger. But we're also getting more life force. We're getting more of that oxygen into the cells that need it. Because a lot of the times if we're breathing too quickly, which is a lot of us, especially in moments of stress and activity going from one task to another, we offload too much carbon dioxide. And then that carbon dioxide isn't there to release the oxygen from the hemoglobin in the blood. That's one of the magical things about just breathing properly at the right pace, is it becomes a very accessible way to transform our entire state of being. And that's so simple, and it has so many knock-on effects, that it is just as important to have that transformative experience and awaken ourselves to this greatness of life, but also to remember that this state that you are in right now, that I'm in, I can transform that. I can just shift that by breathing a different way. So I just offer you one simple experiment. At some point this week, take a note of how you feel, and then sit down. And then, no other goal except this, just breathe in for 5 seconds, and then breathe out for 5 seconds. Extending the breath like this. That, if it does transform how you feel, take note of it. And take a note of what you did. All you did is you changed the physical process of breathing. And you transformed your state of being. If it doesn't change you, that's great. You're already breathing at a great pace. But if it does, take note of that and recognize for a second how beautiful and truly marvelous that is. And I mean marvelous in the state of, like, that's something to marvel at. So what is feeling enlightened? Okay, yes, it's becoming one with everything. A lot of us aren't here for that. A lot of us have a lot more to do before we get there. However, we can feel lighter. We can feel this experience of being more enraptured by life, more and more, being excited, just enjoying life. I think one of the issues is this hustle culture, is it's prompted us to think that achieving is the only way to live and the only way to feel happy, and that's an element to that. Yes, we are here to serve. However, feeling a little better in life is not a bad thing. I'm experiencing, well, I have been for a while, experiencing like this stretch of time where a lot more of my minutes are full of experience and sense, and I can tell. And my days aren't just breezing by. And it's a beautiful thing, and I really hope you try at least just once to implement this simple breath pattern. It's accessible, it's achievable. Let me know what you experience. If it's nothing, if it's changed your life, if you hate breathing, if you find it frustrating, if you find it really easy, I'd love to know more about what your experience is. Because I'm really just speaking from my experience, but something tells me this, just by the nature of all of this coming out lately, I have a feeling that you will appreciate this as well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for pursuing your inner power. And I'll talk to you next time. Much love.